Welcome to Franchise Empires, where aspiring entrepreneurs learn exactly what it takes to become a successful franchise owner, from one location to 10 and beyond. I'm the Wolf of Franchises. Hey everyone, it's the Wolf. Today on the show we have Adam Geisler and John Erlandson of Youth Athletes United. Adam and John are return guests, and this time they're also bringing their franchisees, Kevin and Chelsea of Soccer Stars. This is an awesome conversation about the platform they're building in the youth sports space, as well as why Kevin and Chelsea jumped on board. Hope you enjoy.
The Wolf of Franchises is the CEO of Wolfpack Franchising, as well as a creator at Workweek Media. All opinions expressed by the Wolf and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Wolfpack Franchising or Workweek. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. The Wolf, Workweek, and Wolfpack Franchising may maintain positions in the franchises discussed on this podcast.
The audience probably remember, or at least some of them remembers Adam and John from when you guys are on, but I think it'd be good to kind of just set the table from your guys' perspective on kind of the origin of Soccer Stars, and how did it evolve into Youth Athletes United?
Great. So Adam Geisler, CEO and co-founder of Youth Athletes United, my partner.
John Erlandson, co-founder of Youth Athletes United.
And president. And so, we had an interesting path to get here. John and I had really good business experiences leading up to this in similar industries, sporting goods, sports retail, licensing, and a few other categories. And we had an opportunity to be acquisition entrepreneurs. So we both are really passionate about health and wellness. Both are parents of kids, and really just saw this opportunity to create this white space where every kid's an athlete and they can have fun while learning the fundamentals of sport. And it happened about 6.5 years ago. I've lived in New York on the Upper West Side of Manhattan for almost 20 plus years. And Super Soccer Stars came up for sale, along with 2 other brands that we own, ultimately to build a youth sports immersion platform. But it came up for sale, and it was this first sport experience that soccer provided. It was this gateway sport, and it had been around for almost 20 plus years at the time. And John and I had an opportunity in our careers to bet on ourselves and bet on these brands. And so we put capital in no different than a franchisee would, betting on ourselves, and really said, listen, we think that we can acquire this amazing brand and put our intellectual capital and financial capital behind it and create this national platform where, again, what we love about soccer is it's that first sport experience. It's the first experience that a kid has and experiences. And so you think about that, they remember that out of the gates. And so you have a big responsibility and a big opportunity. If it's a great soccer experience at the beginning, they love it. They're in. If it's not a good soccer experience and that coach is engaging, the curriculum isn't fun, like, mom or dad, I did it, right? I'm not doing it.
And then we got into the business and realized, there's a lot of other incredible brands that were built over 20 years that share the same ethos of changing kids' lives through sport in a non-competitive way. Again, so we're really focused on the underage. And so we acquired amazing athletes, and then we acquired Play TGA, tennis, golf, and pickleball. It also has some other athletics attached to it as well. And the results have been unbelievable, because what's happened is we've been able to bring the power of a platform and a lot of intellectual ideas, because all those systems evolved in their own ways over 20 years. And then sharing the best practices has just become such an accelerator in terms of getting national partnerships, sharing creative ways to do things in summer versus winter, hot markets versus cold markets. And we're still learning every day. And I think the fact that we didn't invent any of these things, we're much more open-minded to, I say being a franchisor is the easiest job in the world. All you have to do after you invent the original system is listen to what the franchisees tell you, take notes, and get it done, right? It's not, they're on the ground. It's just that simple. And so our franchisees every month give us a list of 20 things that they're like, hey, if we could get better by doing this, we get ahead by doing this. And we're just executing relentlessly. And that's what's made this thing work so well.
And I think what's also been great is, 6.5 years into doing this, we're at about 320 locations, and we've got over 190 franchise owners across the 3 brands. Soccer Stars, over the last 16 months, we're up to 130 locations. with 76 owners. And so the benefit, what we always say when somebody comes to Soccer Stars, is you're not just joining a single franchisor, single brand, you're joining a platform where we have all these other best practices where the franchisees can collaborate and work together. And then there's some other opportunities for growth, not just in Soccer Stars, but in Soccer Stars and stacking additional brands.
And I think I round that, close that out with, if you ask us what's our North Star, what do we wake up thinking about every day? Not selling more franchises. Are the current franchisees growing organically? So we've slowed down M&A. We haven't bought anything else. We've made a decision that there is so much opportunity in the three brands, and especially with all the new people that have come on with soccer, that by far and away has been the biggest explosion, is we need to spend our time and energy making sure that North Star, more kids in classes, more lives change equals better financial opportunity for our owners, that is happening in every day. And I think what's been fascinating is by making that time to spend with the owners, everybody has my cell phone. They call me 24 hours a day. They've got Adam's cell phone. I have never got on the phone and not found a way to solve a problem for a franchisee just because, we're sitting in the helicopter position looking down and we can pull ideas from across the system. And so it's worked really, really well.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, I've always been a fan of just the vision and, obviously the franchise growth stuff is always exciting for me, but also just, kind of what you guys are aiming to do on an impact level across the country has always been super cool. So I'd love to hear from Kevin and Chelsea. I know you got involved with Soccer Stars about a year ago, right? May 2023. But for you guys as entrepreneurs, because I know, and we'll get into this, right, how you kind of dipped your toe in at first with Soccer Stars while having full-time jobs, but even prior to the operating side of things, were you guys specifically looking for franchises, or did this kind of fall into your lap? How did the discovery of the brand at least occur?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. It was early 2023, and I was driving around somewhere, and I listened to a podcast, and it was about franchises and how that could be a great vessel for investing. And some of them are, fully absentee, some are semi-absentee. So I thought, oh, that'd be cool. We're always looking for new investments. Let me go home and talk to Chelsea about this, and maybe we can start exploring that because, like you said, we had W-2 jobs, so couldn't afford to do something full time. And then when I got home and talked to Chelsea, she said, that's funny because I was just listening to a podcast too, and it was on franchising. So I think we should explore this. So we got in touch with John Austinson over at Frambridge, and he kind of gave us a list of all these different franchises. And I never knew how many franchises there were, but we looked at plumbing franchises. We looked at dog grooming franchises. We looked at home health care, and everything was fine, but I didn't feel the passion. I told Chelsea I wanted to feel some passion when I got up in the morning and I went out and went to work if I was going to do this. And then Soccer Stars came along, and we kind of talked about it, and we're like, hey, this is a really good opportunity. Got on a couple calls with John and Adam, and they were talking about more green time, less screen time. And it was like, man, that talks to me. That speaks to me and Chelsea and our family. That aligns with our values. We love getting our kids outside. We have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old, and we go outside all the time. We play. We just try to get our kids away from the TV screen or the iPad and having as much fun as they can and learning outside. So we went in, we talked to more franchisees, and we thought it was going to be a good fit. Our ultimate idea was to get in with a general manager because we wanted to keep our W-2 jobs. I was a police officer, and Chelsea worked in software sales. And I enjoyed my job. Chelsea's great at her job, and kind of kept going through the process, got through our May training about a year ago, and then hit the ground running. And everything was going well up until Chelsea had a bit of a back injury in September of 2023. And I went to work and I said, hey guys, I need 6 weeks off. My wife's going to be laid up for a little bit, and I need to go 100% into soccer. And they said, take your time, do your thing. So I went into soccer full time. And at the end of that 6 weeks, we kind of talked, Chelsea and I talked, and we both agreed that Soccer Stars was a great fit for our family. I was home more. I wasn't working Christmas and, Halloween and missing on things. It was fun. I was coming home, with these fun stories of these kids. So it was just, great timing for us. And it really was a great setup for us to take our next chapter, or read through our next chapter of life. So it was first weekend of November, right after Halloween. I was done with police work, and my agency was great. They said, hey, we know you'll be a success. Go get it. Like, go after it. We would never tell you not to take an opportunity like this. So I did. And we've been turning and burning ever since, and having a good time, having ups and downs of business life, but really enjoying the growth and the journey. And, we're about 1 year in now from training, and we're going to start our next territory very shortly in the Fort Worth area.
That's awesome. Super cool to hear. And I wonder if we can get any official record of those podcasts you guys listen to. Perhaps it was this one, but we don't know for sure.
Definitely was.
Yeah. All right. Sweet. Adam and John, I'll take my commission check. I'd love to hear, guys, of you, Chelsea and Kevin, a little bit more about just given that it sounds like franchises, right, weren't necessarily like on your radar till you heard it on a podcast, and maybe you realized, oh, there are more than just. I think a lot of folks kind of hear franchises and they think of fast food brands. So it sounds like you went through some type of discovery process of like, wow, like there's a lot of different industries. If you can kind of put yourself back in that mindset of when you were evaluating Soccer Stars versus maybe the plumbing franchise or some of these others, was there any criteria? Like, did you guys have a kind of a buy box, quote unquote, right? Of like, this is what we're looking for. And ultimately just looking for really how you ended up feeling comfortable enough to really make that leap into Soccer Stars. Because I think that's where a lot of potential buyers struggle, is they get lost in the sauce. They're looking at too many brands and they never end up taking that leap of faith.
Absolutely. We were initially looking for something that we could do while balancing our full-time jobs. Our original intention was not to leave our careers, and the Soccer Stars team was very supportive of us finding a general manager to run more of the day-to-day for us. So that was an important aspect. But in terms of us during the decision-making process, I think it was more of a feeling, because the executive team is so accessible, so welcoming. We really enjoyed our time doing the validation calls and the leadership calls. They gave so many opportunities for us to learn and ask questions, and they were so patient. It just felt like this was the right community that we wanted to surround ourselves with. We had additional calls with other franchise owners who were so eager to help that we felt very confident in looking at the FDDs, and in our conversations with them, it felt like a no-brainer. We knew we were going to see success. We know our work ethic, and we believe in the value of the company. I mean, we are the customer. We are parents of young children who want their kids active, healthy, having a good time, and playing the world's most popular sport.
I think that adding on that, I think one of the things, and we've gotten better as we've learned the process more, is we almost try to talk people out of it. Like, we have a saying, I'll never tell you anything today that's going to be different after you buy the franchise, good or bad. Like, you need to understand exactly what you're stepping into. And I think one of the things that has made us unique is Adam and I had just taken that journey from 25 years of being W-2 employees to going, you know what? I now have a nest egg. I'm going to invest a lot of it into this opportunity and take a bet on myself. And when you look at, I'm making up the number, 90% of our franchise owners in our system, they all had to take that leap. And so to be able to take them on our journey of, hey, here's what my wife said, here's what I was worried about for my kids. Here's the risk that I took. Here's how it worked out. By the way, after we bought, the first year was amazing, then COVID hit. But we're still here. We're crushing it. How did we get through that, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to take people on that journey and just very authentically say, listen, you're going to drink from a fire hose when you first buy the business. And that first 90 to 120 days, it sucks. It's fun because it's exciting, but it's like being in a water slide that's a little steeper than you thought you were getting onto. So the first drop is always like, oh man. And then you settle into it and you start riding it, and then you start to really enjoy the ride. And that's franchising. We don't hide that when you come in. We also tell people, listen, if you have health problems or you have, personal life problems, buying a business is not going to solve that. And so we start to get better at saying the only people that fail have really personal issues, or they really are scared to go out and talk to the community and they're just afraid to talk to people. Then this isn't the right business for them. And that's okay.
And one of the things that was great and has been great about Kevin and Chelsea is, number one, seeing husband and wives get involved in the business. We have a lot of our owners where you see the husbands and wives getting into it. It's truly a family business all the way around. The other thing is you really look for people where they can complement each other's strengths. Chelsea is amazing at sales. Kevin will tell you, like, where would they be if they weren't for Chelsea? Because she's just so great at representing her community, the brand, and the sales. Where he manages the coaching, he manages the culture, he manages that staffing. And so having that 1-2 punch, when we first looked at it, we said, listen, our non-negotiables are that this is always a full-time job for somebody. So if the two of you have full-time jobs, you need to hire somebody that's full-time job. Well, the two of them said, well, we're going to listen to you, but we're going to make full-time work between the two of us, and between the two of them, they need full-time work. And then ultimately, I always love it the way they've always explained of, like, you know, when we had to make the decision of hiring a general manager or not, like, this is our brand. When we go to the grocery store, like, this is what we stand for. We're wearing Super Soccer Stars. Like, it's us. And so how could we put that in anybody else's hands but our own? And when Kevin made that leap, I mean, it was really big smiles from us. Like, we were just so proud and happy that he was able to do that. And the two of them were able to do that.
One of my favorite things is going around the community and a kid will say, is that Coach Pizza? Because that's Kevin's huge name. So I love that aspect of it. We're really passionate about our community, and for Kevin he's really become the face of Soccer Stars here, and kids know and love Coach Pizza. So that part's been awesome.
It is pretty cool. So I don't live in Manhattan like Adam does. So when I bring my kids and they go, oh, Dad, look, their kids wearing Soccer Stars. So it is really cool because you're like, this is our family, business, like, right? And like, I don't know. I'm sure there are other ways to live and wake up and feel great about life, but I don't know of many that are better than that. Like, the money is a wonderful byproduct of changing kids' lives, and the brand just feels good. So I mean, that's why I think you'll hear the number one thing you hear all the time, even with franchisees when they're struggling, is the people. Like, the thing that gets me out of bed every morning, whether it's the people they're working with locally on their teams or the corporate team, everybody cares and has this shared mission. And so when you get into challenges, we've converted a couple of opcos now, the franchisees have bought. Converting a business is never easy. It is a very, very tough process. But, what every one of those owners will tell you is, even if things didn't go the way we thought they were going to go on paper, there has never been a time when I couldn't get John or Adam or any executives in the company on the phone within 5 minutes to help solve that problem, especially if it was urgent. And the contract doesn't govern here, spirit of the deal governs. So if we said this was the spirit of the deal and something's off, then we're going to make it right. And we have made it right consistently, and vice versa. Everybody else we have this, like, do what you say you were going to do. And it's been awesome. It has just been incredible. And I think that's why we're having so much success, and everybody is having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's cool to hear. And I hear what you guys are saying. I think it's just, a lot of franchises maybe want to or try to have their franchisees kind of have some community impact. But depending on the concept, it's just, it could be more difficult to, like, truly make that impact the way Kevin's, a local celebrity to the kids. So it's a pretty cool anecdote. I'd love to hear too, Kevin and Chelsea, what was it like for you both starting out with that GM hired? Did you, were you able to even, like, go to work and kind of have that confidence and assuredness of, hey, like, we got the GM hired and they're taking care of business? Or, was there any maybe, was there anything that you didn't expect with that path specifically?
So the path specifically to hiring a GM and bringing a GM on board?
Yeah, and just those early days as owners, but where you're not necessarily in the day to day.
Yeah, and to clarify, we didn't hire a manager until October?
Yeah, that was our goal, but I ended up leaving police work before that happened. So yeah, we never got to that point.
Or no,
got it.
January.
Got it.
I think January is when we hired our manager. So Kevin was already full-time, being the full-time operator, and then he hired a manager underneath him in January.
Nice.
But I'll jump in and tell you some things I think we learned through the process.
Yeah.
Is you get what you put into it. I think when people hear semi-absentee, they kind of assume like, yeah, I'll get in when on my time frame. And I think we always kind of knew it, but now we've gotten way better at like getting into the details before somebody closes. Of like, talk to me about your job. Okay, so I want to live with you on the job. Coach calls out and it's 9:30 and you're sitting in a meeting in the office. What are you going to do? And it's very important to understand those nuances because at the end of the day, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And if our franchisees aren't successful, we're not successful. Like there's no upside in just selling more units and then just burning and churning. And so we've got way better at understanding what the semi-absentee GM is and really explain to people like, listen, this is not, you can buy a restaurant and be semi-absentee and not be available because the scale of capital, the layers of management, the expectation you're going to be $2 million in before you really start taking money out. You can't do that here. And if you are going to scale big time, and you're going to hire layers of management, you got to assume 50% of the managers might turn over, right? That is a very big reality in this business. So you got to step into, which means if your manager turns over on you, what are you going to do? Well, you got to be available. And so that has really changed the dynamic of success and the speed of success. And we learned some of those lessons the hard way, I think, early on.
And I think one of the things that we've added to that now is we kind of, get 130 units in 60 months. You learn a lot every single month and you get better every month. And so now when somebody comes in, depending on their job flexibility, and they say, okay, I'm interested in this executive model, right? I want a GM. We actually have the GM go through the same leadership, same validation process. Because the reality is we're really signing on that GM as much as the owner. And so if that GM isn't there and the owner can't step in, and so that, again, I think what it does for us is it really starts that partnership out early. Right, we'll give them job descriptions. We'll interview that person with them and really make sure that they're set up for success out of the gates. Because, anytime you have FSOs and you have brokers and you're really selling fast, it becomes your problem, your opportunity. We're in the franchisor, and so we always want to get ahead of it, make sure that somebody's coming in with the best path to success. And we'll have real candid conversations, tough conversations, really early on, and people really thrown back. But if you can't have those early conversations now of like, can you do this? Can you commit to the time? And why are you doing this? And that's, again, if you go back to Kevin and Chelsea's why, they wanted to impact their community. If they said, I want to make money first, probably not the right place for you to go. Some of the other franchisees might have been better. If you want to do well and do good, that's what was really important. So that GM, we treat them as equally important as the franchisee that's coming in.
Yeah. No, it's super important. And for you guys as the franchisor, right? The units you've sold is super impressive, and the growth is obviously a great signal. But how have you adapted to being able to handle that as far from a supports perspective? And for instance, the last time we spoke, I think it was fall 2022, at least last time we spoke officially on the podcast. Let's say what practices have changed from when you were 20 to 30 franchisees into now, over 100.
Yeah. So there's some things have stayed the same things and they've gotten better. And so what you find is, with good problems to success, you're onboarding new franchisees, 5 to 10 every single month, right? So you're spending the time trying to get new people in, and then you can't forget about the people that just came on. You have to continue to accelerate. So for us, with that type of growth, we've invested in people. We've also invested in a really good group of what we call business success coaches. And we have 5 former franchise owners, some of Soccer Stars, some of the other brands that we own. And so we found that has been a huge part because you have somebody who's in it every single day with you. They help you go sell and market. They help you go through those pain points. So that we found is a really big asset, that you don't have just success coaches that you've hired and never been in. They've been in it. They've lost coaches, hired coaches, and had all different types of opportunities with different locations.
Yeah.
I think I stand on that and say the other thing, we're at an executive meeting. I said, listen, I think one of the things, we have a huge opco that is still significantly bigger than almost all the franchisees combined. And being able to siphon resources off of that to support the franchisees has been a little bit of our secret sauce. And I can't imagine you could support this kind of growth if you didn't have that resource pool to pull from. You also have an incredible amount of capital because, by the way, the franchisor ends up needing more capital to support the growth than they usually expect, right? And so we ran into that same situation. Luckily, we have a very big opco that, is doing very well. That's allowed us to kind of fund the franchisee growth and all the support. And then the biggest thing, which is a never ending kind of, black hole of opportunity and investment, is on the tech side and supporting everybody with tech. So that's kind of a little bit of another passion project of mine as one of the owners. Is expanding the tech platform is just an infinite. If I had this, I could move faster. Could I do this? And so every 3 weeks we're launching things. And at the end of the day, if we're being honest, if you keep pushing upgrades to your system, you do cause a little bit of chaos because there's bugs because you're moving so fast, or the learning curve of just teaching everybody. And so one of the other things we recently implemented was an AI, we call it SoccerBot. And SoccerBot has been pretty good early on. Actually, it's been really interesting to watch. So we manage the whole company through Slack, really. That way we can see what's going on. Everybody can see it. There's no hiding here, right? The franchisees are calling you out. We're asking them for things. There's ideas being shared in the channel. There's so many awesome things going on. But sitting here in New York, we're watching the whole worldwide business and everything that's happening. And so what's been cool about that is SoccerBot has allowed us to do two things, and it's built off of ChatGPT. One, a lot of the dumb questions that come in of like, oh, where do I find this? It can answer those. It can search things. It can give you links, and it's getting better and better every day. And you can see on a year timeline, it's going to know more than anybody in the company, and the power of that, not just to support franchise owners who have been there a while that know everything, but then their employees, right, that want to come on and learn and train faster. And then phase two of that is actually a thing I didn't even expect is everyone is using it now to write emails, write, letters to employees, right? Like they're using it because it knows our business so well. And that's been really, really interesting to watch it. So we see all that kind of playing out. And someday it's got to get to, again, more green time, less screen time. We mean that for the franchisees too. And they're still spending way too much time behind computer screens. We know that. And so if the bot can start answering customer service, I mean, we are doubling, tripling, quadruple down. It's what I spend every Saturday and Sunday morning doing, is working on some of this R&D stuff.
And I think the other thing, as all those things evolve, we're buying time for ourselves to kind of invest back in business. But there gets a point where you really want the franchisees to talk to the franchisees. And I'd say that's the success point we've really seen, call it over the last 6 to 8 months. Kevin and Chelsea, they were just on a call prior to this, to call our Superstars meeting, where they're actually meeting with the top 15 franchisees in our system today. They happen to be very at the top of that list. And they're giving feedback to each other, right? And you really have that hive mind of where we're really fortunate that we have some great franchisees, but the franchisees are in a position now where they can start to teach each other things. And by the way, we learn from them. And so we're taking practices from them and taking it across the system. Or we actually today just had one of our other brands on the call because they had a few things to offer because they're a bit stronger in summer camps. So they pitched in and gave a few ideas. But the biggest thing is our reputational, our personal currency is everything. We can only be as good as what our franchisees tell us and tell everybody in the system and newcomers as well. So we focus so much on that. And I think that's been a really big evolution over the last, call it 16 months that we've had that growth, is now the franchisees are already in a place so early on where they can give back to each other. And you love seeing that you have that culture and people want to step up and want to do that for franchisees, especially at such an early stage in their growth.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think those are both very good positive signals from the system. I've seen that in other brands where, the franchisees get to a point of maturity and really just operational know-how that, the knowledge can start spreading quicker through them. And then I also love the AI bot as a tech nerd myself. I think it's a really good use case. And I think I hope a lot of franchisors are out there just funneling their ops manuals and any piece of literature into some AI model to train it up on, like John kind of said, just the basic and easy questions that, maybe don't necessarily need human interaction. So that's super, super cool to hear. Chelsea and Kevin, I'd love to hear from you guys. We're about a year in since you officially kind of joined the team at Soccer Stars. So, are there any long-term goals that you've developed either within Soccer Stars or even the greater youth athletes platform, and who knows, maybe other franchise brands someday?
Yeah. So we obviously, like I said earlier, we are going into our second territory. We appreciate all the leadership and what they provide to us, and I think that's why we bought more because we know that there's assistance if we need it, and we feel like we're kind of getting things going, moving in the right direction. I think we'd like to continue growing. We want to do this at the right pace. We don't want to go too fast, but we feel like we're ready to take that next bite and get going. I think overall, we'd love to grow into the North Texas area. The only downside is that all the territories are getting gobbled up. So we're kind of thinking about, hey, what's our next step? What's our next region? How can we do this? Because we really believe in this product. We really believe that there's a need for this. And we've had so many parents come to us and say, hey, your program is great. It's so convenient. Your coaches are awesome. My kids love it. Every day they look forward to soccer practice at school or wherever it may be. So I think we just want to make sure the growth is at the right pace. But I think we'd like to continue growing within the Soccer Stars brand as much as we can, really.
Super exciting. I think there's certainly, I've seen the FDD, so I know there's tons of room for growth just within the Soccer Stars brand. So it sounds like you guys are off to a great start. And I wanted to pose this question kind of to all of you, any of you. Soccer is, for myself, I'm a major soccer fan. Played since I was a little kid and through college. Still a big fan of the sport. And it's becoming a lot more popular, thankfully, in the States here. And would have been nice if it was more popular in high school. Soccer kind of had a negative connotation for whatever reason in high school. But anyway, with Lionel Messi coming to the MLS and the World Cup is going to be in America in 2026, do you guys have any thoughts or feedback on what you're seeing, kind of as like the boots on the ground? And I guess Adam and John, you guys really see nationwide, right? Is the sport becoming more popular at the level of children that you guys are working with, or is there, is it kind of just anyone's guess as to the impact today?
I think
Kevin, Chelsea.
Yeah, I think if we're speaking about the North Texas area, this is Texas, right? So football's king, but soccer is a number two, and it's very close. I didn't realize how big soccer was, and it is so huge. Like Adam said, it's one of the first sports you'll probably ever play. You'll be a 2, 3, 4-year-old playing soccer, enjoying, learning those gross motor skill development. I think the explosion with Messi coming to the U.S. and everything, I think it just become even bigger. We have such a huge group of people who come to us and say, hey, we're a soccer family. We've been excited we saw this come through and we want to get involved. So I think out here, this is going to be an explosion of soccer fans and people who really just grow up in a grassroots environment playing soccer from a young age all the way through their high school career and hopefully beyond.
Yeah, there's so much diversity with soccer. I coach a parent and me soccer class on the weekend, so that's 1 to 2 year olds. You don't hear of a parent and me football class for 1 to 2 year olds.
I wouldn't recommend that. Yeah.
Soccer Stars has Shining Stars, which is an adaptive soccer class. We launched that. Kevin coaches that on Saturday mornings. You don't hear of an adaptive football class. So soccer is just the sport for every person at every skill level and at every age. So it makes sense why it's become very popular. And as a mom to young kids, I don't have to worry as much about the head injuries. So that's a big plus.
Yep. Yeah.
And you think about it, you kind of almost said, but when you were in high school, it wasn't necessarily cool, right?
No,
it wasn't. It was kind of like it was the
it was
other
not
sport.
Cool. It wasn't necessary. It was not cool.
Right. It was not cool. So it was the other sport. You think about now, you walk around, you see the kids. The kids are wearing Messi jerseys, Boppy jerseys. Like you never saw that, right? You would see it with football, you see it with basketball. You never saw it with soccer. And so we know these kids do not have to become professionals. That's totally fine. That's not what we're here for. But the emulation, the aspiration of what they see in those role models, soccer never had that influence. The rest of the world got it. We were kind of last of the party. And now you see MLS has grown so much from a professional standpoint in so many cities and from a viewership standpoint. You've seen international influence with World Cup. We just think we're poised with such a big impact, and where soccer can be that impact, that vehicle. And Chelsea said it best. It doesn't matter if they're going to be superstars, right? They're going to be soccer stars. And the biggest thing is we can just give them that fun and that confidence to enjoy it. And so they get to enjoy it at any level, and then they get to enjoy, as fans as well. And that opportunity didn't exist really until the last few years.
And I do think that would probably, if you ask, the only thing that is where you want to add, more territories more quickly is that World Cup is going to. When I was at Sportcraft, we had table tennis when the movie Balls of Fury came out, and we went from selling 100,000 units a year to 1 million units a year, right? So like when that happens, you want to be in every state, in every market in the country, in every pocket, because the explosion that you're going to get. And I think the difference here is, well, the table tennis thing came and went. It did last 2 seasons, though. Those were 2 very good commission years for my sales guy. The soccer thing is not coming and going. And if you want to, we always challenge ourselves all the time of like, we can convince ourselves of anything, right? Like we get excited about, like I'm the easiest person to sell a used car to because the guy can get me all riled up and like I'm in, right? And so we've got to be careful not to convince ourselves of every idea being a good one. And so you make a broad statement like that. How do you support it with data? And I think the data that validates that soccer is here to stay is look at the valuation on those clubs, where they went from, you could buy a team for $20 million, and now we're talking about $500 million to $1 billion, and the amount of investment in the media. And so if you want a number to back up that statement, you're seeing it there with investors putting their dollars in at the professional level. And that's why it's not going to be a flash in the pan.
Yeah, no, I mean, even just anecdotally, as again, played through college, but been a fan basically my whole life. And I typically watch teams in Europe. My favorite team is Brighton. They're in England. And, like when I was in high school, it wasn't even like to watch soccer was considered odd. And we've gone in that time span in like 8 to 10 years where now it's actually, sometimes I get like trash talked because I don't watch MLS, because MLS has developed that much where there's fans and they're passionate to the point where they're like, you don't even watch a team in your own country. Like you're watching someone in England. And I was like, hey, like there wasn't really even MLS teams when I was, becoming a fan. So, I think the game has tremendous staying power, and it is the most popular sport in the world. So, our country in general is a bit just behind the pack as far as kind of adopting it here. So, I think, look, between your franchise and just everything that's going on for both of you guys, I mean, I'm super excited to watch the momentum continue. And, Adam and John, and then also Kevin and Chelsea, maybe I'll start with Kevin and Chelsea. Is there anywhere online where people who maybe want to get in touch with you about your business in the Dallas area, or even, franchisees who maybe want to follow along your journey? What would be the best places online to do that?
Absolutely. They can find us at McKinney Soccer Stars. They can also email us at mckinney@soccerstars.com, but we're on all the socials, McKinney Soccer Stars. Awesome.
And Adam and John, anywhere, best place to follow you guys, potentially get in touch about the franchise?
Yeah. So Soccer Stars, franchise.com. That's the best place to go and see what's going on. I would encourage you, follow us on LinkedIn. Myself, Adam Geisler, my partner, John Erlandson, and us. And just, again, I think it's good to see the culture and the feedback of the things that we're able to do with our brands. Listen, we have a tremendous franchise sales organization, Franchise Fastlane, and they are our first partners and really help us find amazing candidates with amazing brokers. John Austinson, who's with Kevin and Chelsea Meyer, I think he's responsible for almost 8 of our franchisees in the system. So there's great people that out there, and we really appreciate the people that help bring those candidates and those partners into us.
Amazing.
Yeah, and one thing that I do think we skipped over, and I do think it's important, it can be quick, but maybe Kevin and Chelsea, talk about what was surprisingly hard when you got in on day 2. What were things that you didn't expect? And again, I think this goes to the transparency of us as a franchise. We're looking for partners. We're not looking to sell a car and have someone drive off a lot. Not that there's anything wrong with selling cars, but you get my I think it's important to include that in the podcast.
Yeah. So
let's do it.
Yeah, sure. So we talk about this a lot. Actually, we kind of revisit this all the time to see what our challenges are. So one of the biggest challenges I thought we kind of ran into was that we both had W-2 jobs. We didn't have any business acumen. We've never run a business before. We had no idea what to expect. I mean, you can talk to people, but we talked about, John made it pretty clear. He's like, hey, you can start selling and making money day 1 you start. And it's true. Once you start, once you go to a school and they bought in, you start programming, it starts flowing, but it's just that fast as well that things start coming up. You start having to deal with P&Ls and payroll and staffing and all these things. I've never dealt with this. The police academy didn't prepare me for these things. I wasn't ready. It was really nice to have all the leadership in Soccer Stars available, and we could Slack them at almost any point, and I'd get a response pretty fast. Probably within like 30 minutes, I get someone. Adam or John can respond back very fast. And if they don't have the answer for me, they'll point me in the right direction or get someone else looped in so that I can get a response. And if it's something that's not Soccer Stars related, they'll say, hey, look, this is what we'd recommend. You probably want to talk to so-and-so. And it's just awesome having that. I can contact almost any franchisee. I don't say almost. I can contact any franchisee and ask them for advice on something. There's plenty of them that have more experience than I do. And they'll be so quick to respond and so helpful. And it's awesome. I mean, we're at the point now where we want to pay it forward, and we want to help the newest franchisees and help them get up to speed and learn from our mistakes, because we've made plenty. But we think that we can provide some value in helping them kind of ramp up even faster than we did. Mm-hmm. And I'll let Chelsea kind of speak to another issue, which is probably staffing.
Yeah, staffing is definitely, I think, the biggest challenge. When we interviewed other franchisees, we heard quite frequently, always be hiring. We didn't quite understand what that meant until we got into it. There's quite a bit of turnover just in this profession with these coaches. Our target demographic for a coach is usually someone who's in college. Their schedules are frequently changing. So are their attitudes about working. So, it's actually funny. Kevin, I tell everybody, Kevin's head of HR, which I think there's some irony in the fact that the police officer is head of HR. But he's very good at having hard conversations. And that is understated. I thought I would be better at that. Kevin is great at explaining that you need to show up to your shift. You need to show up on time. You need to be wearing your jersey. So managing people and retention has definitely been an unforeseen challenge. We were warned, but something that you just don't quite experience till you're in it.
And having said all that,
you know what? I like to call it things that are often said but unsaid, like maybe skipped over, is the type of person that does great in this is the type of person that just gets a surge of endorphins from giving back, right? And you hear about not just the obvious give back is to the kids in the community, but giving back to other franchisees. But even more so, we talk a lot about this now when you're onboarding. Teaching a young person, a college kid, that when you walk into a daycare, to say hello to Debbie at the front desk and make eye contact, you think that's obvious once you get old, but you forget when you were 20, you probably weren't that bright either. And you would just put your head down and run in. And then that's the brand. Like the brand is this person that's unfriendly, that doesn't say hi. And so if you teach these young kids those little life lessons, the same way we teach the little kids, you start to build a community, you start to build a team. And listen, the people that are there, you'll have some winners that'll stay with you for 20 years. And you have some winners that come and go, and you'll have some people that aren't going to make it. That's the business. But the drive to constantly give back, and that's just what gets you excited about being alive. That's what makes this such a great business and such a great community.
Yeah. No, I love the transparent approach as far as highlighting kind of the pain points that you will face. And for anyone who's super new to franchising listening to this, I'll spare you, any confusion. Every franchise is going to have some challenge or pain point. No one has it all figured out. And honestly, a lot of them, labor is constantly just a factor, whether you're running a restaurant or a dog daycare center or, a youth soccer business. So definitely familiar with those woes. And I think audio team, if you can go back for the last 5 minutes, this question should be in earlier in the episode. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for calling that out, John. That's a great addition. So we're at time, and this will get reshuffled so it sounds smooth. But guys, thanks a lot for coming on. And John and Adam, maybe we'll have you back once you, whatever the next milestone is. I don't know if that's 250 or 500, but and Chelsea and Kevin, best of luck as you continue to build out your territories.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Franchise Empires. We're coming to you soon with actionable insights to take the next step on your franchise journey. So make sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen.